November the 7th, 2025. Welcome back to the Two Witnesses Live. I'm your host, Watchful, and we're going to jump right into this just so that we can get you guys to your Sabbath celebrations as quickly as possible. There's some spicy posts to get through, so it should be kind of fun, but we're going to kind of bang through this to get it done quickly. Starting off with our guy, Donald Trump. So this is a catch-up from yesterday. I wanted to reread this. Just held a great call between Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel and President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev of Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is the first country of my second term to join the Abraham Accords. Yay! The first of many. This is a major step forward in building bridges across the world. Today, more nations are lining up to embrace peace and prosperity through my Abraham Accords. We will soon announce a signing ceremony to make it official, and there are many more countries trying to join this club of strength. So much more to come in uniting countries for stability and growth. Real progress, real results. Blessed are the peacemakers. Gotta love a post like that. It's worth reading twice. All right, moving on. So this was 23 hours ago. I am thrilled to announce an incredible trade and economic deal between the United States and Uzbekistan. Over the next 3 years, Uzbekistan will be purchasing and investing almost $35 billion, and in the next 10 years, over $100 billion in key American sectors, including critical minerals, aviation, automotive parts, infrastructure, agriculture, energy and chemicals, information technology, and others. I want to thank Uzbekistan's highly respected president, Shavkat Mirziyoyev, who look forward to a long and productive relationship between our countries. Okay. Anytime you see Nancy Pelosi, you gotta smile when it's coming out of Trump's mouth. Nancy Pelosi, the old and broken political hack who impeached me twice and lost, is finally calling it quits. She illegally made a fortune in the stock market, ripped off the American public, and was a disaster for America. I'm glad to see the stench of Nancy Pelosi go. Fire from the mouth of those who would harm them. Woo! All right, gotta love it. Message to the Republicans. Republicans, terminate the filibuster and bring back the American dream. If you don't do it, the Dems will, and you'll never see office again. President DJT. You guys got to remember, he's 80 years old. It's not like he's going to be in office that much longer. Just say no. Nuclear option. Terminate the filibuster. He keeps hammering that. Yep. If Republicans kill the filibuster, they sail to victory for many years to come. If they don't, disaster waiting to happen. All right, this is good. Oh, this is really good. I did watch this one. This one is good. See some fire from his mouth.
We are much better than Biden and all of them. Now, just so you understand, do you remember that the Biden administration had the highest inflation in 48 years, but most people say ever recorded? Do you remember that? Right? Do you remember it? Did they have the highest inflation in 48 years? Did they? Just answer me the question. You know the answer. The answer is yes. They had the worst inflation in 48 years. We have almost no inflation. We're down now to 2%, and we'll be at maybe 1%. You want to always stay above 1%, actually. You want a little tiny bit of inflation. We're at a perfect number.
Just answer the question. Yeah, that's a leader. All righty. This one I didn't watch. This is new for both of us.
I like what The Economist said. They said the goal of affordability from Mamdani is worthy, but not his methods. His methods, as I just laid out, do not work. But Donald Trump's methods do work on this issue. Donald Trump gave Joe Biden, this is a fact, 1.4% inflation. You had Joe Biden that drove that up to 9.1%. Hand you 1.4, drive it up to 9.1. Donald Trump is successful.
In the midst of the four living creatures, I heard a measure of wheat for a denarius and 3 measures of barley for a denarius. Remind you, that all happened during the Biden administration.
9 months in at bringing down prices. A dozen eggs, the price has dropped 79%. National average of gasoline dropped $3 per gallon in the first week of November. He beat market expectations in September with the inflation rate at 2.5%. Remember, it used to be at 9.1. Inflation-adjusted private sector wages increased by over 1,000. 30-year fixed mortgages, the nation was 6.7 at the end of October, 12% lower than when he took office. Donald Trump's policies are working. Last night, blue politicians won in blue cities. Do we need to get the messaging right heading into the midterms? Yes. But Donald Trump's methods, again, are working. Joe Biden's took us to 9.1% inflation. I've got the data, I've got the facts, and President Trump, I guarantee you, is going to share those facts in about 51 minutes.
Your takeaway.
That's true. Yeah, and the thing is it's limited to the first 4 seals. I heard in the midst of the 4 living creatures. That's, as far as we can tell, the 4 living creatures were the Biden administration. Started with COVID, ended with, we're still in seal number 4. So we're still dealing with this and still coming out of it. At least that's what the data says.
I like what The Economist said. They said the goal of affordability from Mamdani is worthy, but not his methods. His methods, as I just laid out, do not work. But Donald Trump's methods do work on this issue. Donald Trump gave Joe Biden, this is a fact, 1.4% inflation.
Didn't we just watch this? Oh, he posted it twice. It's at 108, 108. Yeah, he posted it twice. Well, when you post on an airplane, I guess. President real Donald Trump handed Biden, so this is just repeating. Just 9 months in, President Trump is successfully bringing prices down. Here is the data. Oh. All right. Let's see. What do we got here? I have asked the Department of Justice to immediately begin an investigation into the meat packing companies who are driving up the price of beef through illicit collusion, price fixing, and price manipulation. We will always protect our American ranchers, and they are being blamed for what is being done by majority foreign-owned meat packers who artificially inflate prices and jeopardize the security of our nation's food supply. Action must be taken immediately to protect consumers, combat illegal monopolies, and ensure these corporations are not criminally profiting at the expense of the American people. I am asking the Department of Justice to act expeditiously. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Awesome. You know what? I'm actually going to do a little bit more research into this. We have some farmers and ranchers who do produce meat locally. I'm going to go do a little interview with them and see what I can learn about the situation as it applies to at least where I'm at locally. We'll do that this weekend, maybe. This is an ad, and this is, while cattle prices have dropped substantially, the price of boxed beef has gone up. Therefore, something is fishy. We will get to the bottom of it very quickly. If this is criminality, those people responsible will pay a steep price. Good. The United States Senate should not leave town until they have a deal to end the Democratic shutdown. If they can't reach a deal, the Republicans should terminate the filibuster immediately and take care of our great American workers. You know what? They were doing a late night vote. Let me see if there's anything that came out of that. Let me see if I can search it up. Government shutdown. GOP to refuse Democrats' offer. So that was 4 hours ago. I could swear they were just doing a vote. CBS. I don't like these far left organizations and their reporting. They always frame it weird. That was too long ago. That was 9 hours ago. Deal to the longest ever. Trump issues an urgent plea. That was 6 hours ago. No, this is what I was. Senate in session as Democrats offer proposal. That ended an hour ago. How did it end?
In the first year, it'll be about the same amount as the enhanced premium tax credit. And my Democratic colleagues should like that. But the individual would be getting better value through the federally pre-funded FSA, because she is spending it on that which she actually.
I don't know. I'll have to look into it. I'll do a community post if there's anything. If you guys know anything? Was anybody watching the vote? Now look into why there are no meat packers in some areas, and certain ranchers have no way to process their meat. They are barred from processing their own meat. Yeah, I'm gonna go visit a meat packer. I have to go deliver him some chicken. They bought some chicken for my daughter at the county fair. They do this junior livestock auction thing, and we have to go deliver some chicken meat to him. I'm gonna see if I can't do an interview with him to find out if I can learn anything about that, Fury. Yeah, baptism by water will mean nothing if you aren't baptized by the Spirit. Correct. Yeah, I believe that what John was doing is and by preparing the way for Yeshua, he was giving a visual and physical symbol of what was happening. So we are the temple of God, and when the temple is unclean, God can't, as far as I can understand it, but God doesn't dwell in an unclean temple. This is why, cleanliness is so vital and so important. So baptism was representing a cleaning of the temple. And that's exactly what Yeshua did with his blood. Because in Leviticus 17, I think it's in 11, or it's in Leviticus 17, it says that I have given you blood on the altar for atonement. So it's blood that atones for sin. It's blood that does the actual cleansing. And it was Jesus' sacrifice and his blood which cleanses us so that you can be baptized in the Spirit. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with being baptized. And if you feel that you need to be baptized, by all means, go for it. But I don't believe that that it's a matter of like life and death. Like you won't be saved if you're not baptized. I just don't get that when I'm reading the scripture and from my studies. As I understand it, is what Fury is saying, that it's a spiritual baptism and that it's a cleansing of the temple so that God can once again dwell within us. So when you believe Jesus died for you, and was raised from the dead, then you've cleansed that temple with his blood. That's why on the day of Pentecost, it was like a rushing mighty wind. That was the Holy Spirit rushing back in to the temple. At least that's my understanding. I could be wrong about that, but that's where I've gotten to in my understanding of why and how things work. All right, let's get back over here to Donald. I think we're almost done with him. Yeah, so the United States Senate should not leave town until they have a deal to end the Democratic shutdown. If they can't reach a deal, the Republicans should terminate the filibuster immediately and take care of our great American workers. Agreed. Yeah, because we're dealing with all kinds of apocalypses right now. We've got the travel apocalypse because they're canceling flights left and right. You've got the food apocalypse to where people are worried that they're not going to be able, people who can't afford it are worried that they can't get their Thanksgiving dinner for their family get-togethers, which this is I heard somebody on Tim Pool saying that this is a really good opportunity for the churches to step up and for us to step up. We're going to be donating meat to people in need because we raise chickens. That's what we do. We're taking some chicken to a meat packer tomorrow, as a matter of fact, but well, they paid for that one, so don't let me miscommunicate that. But it's a great opportunity for the church to step up. That's one of the things that Jesus is expecting us to do while he's gone is to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, visit those in prison. So it's a good opportunity for the churches to step up, I think. Boy, that would really show. Wouldn't that be something if there was a massive movement that if God turns the Democrats' ignorance of keeping the government shut down into an opportunity to reach people? That'd be cool. All right. It is a total disgrace that the G20 will be held in South Africa. Afrikaners, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I'm sure it's Afrikaners. People who are descended from Dutch settlers and also French and German immigrants are being killed and slaughtered, and their land and farms are being illegally confiscated. No U.S. government official will attend as long as these human rights abuses continue. I look forward to hosting the 2026 G20 in Miami, Florida. It's been so long since we've had a good leader. I love it. I love it. Okay, it was so interesting yesterday when our great senator from Louisiana, John Kennedy, introduced a bill in an attempt to withhold members of Congress from getting paid. And Rand Paul, who never gets votes for anything, or who never votes for anything, tried to stop it because he wanted to be paid. In other words, Rand wanted to pay the people who stopped government from working. What's going on with Rand? That is a big question. I know he's a friend of the show for Tim Pool, and he's had him on. And Rand has explained some of his reasoning, but I don't think that it's really well founded. It really does seem kind of bizarre. Like, what is going on? We're what, almost 40 days into this government shutdown, and it's having a dramatic effect. I don't know, maybe God is working through him to keep the government shut down. Maybe it is an opportunity for those who have the means to step up and help the country. I don't know, but it's definitely weird. Rand is a never Trumper and a rhino. Yeah, that's what I keep hearing. Let's see. The failing New York Times and its third rate reporters, Lily Kuo and David Pearson, did everything possible to make my successful meeting with President Xi of China look as bad as possible, when in fact it was a spectacular success. The Times totally misrepresented the facts and didn't cover the end result, whereby China very intelligently pulled back their rare earth threats, bought millions of dollars of soybeans and other agricultural products, and agreed to pay substantial tariffs. President Xi, a friend of mine, did the right thing for his country, but I did the right thing for mine. This was a big victory for the USA and indeed the world. Also, it was a wonderful outcome for China. And the fact that these two major powers left the meeting as it began with an excellent relationship and specific plans for future talks and meetings. For the failing New York Times, I read the emphasis on that wrong. For the failing New York Times to be trying to spin this great event negatively when it was the exact opposite is a disgrace to journalism. No wonder they are doing so badly. They are, after all, the fake news. Oh my goodness. All right, it is time for Republican senators to stop playing games with radical left Democrats and terminate the filibuster. Immediately open our country and pass great common sense legislation. Yesterday, it was my great honor to host a summit at the White House with the presidents of five incredible countries: Kasim Jomart Tokayev of Kazakhstan, Shavat Mirziyoyev of Uzbekistan, Imomali Rahman of Tajikistan, Sadir Japanrov of Kyrgyz Republic. I've never heard of that. Kyrgyz Republic. And Serdar Berdimuhamedov of Turkmenistan. Turkmenistan. So many countries that are so hard to pronounce. Turkmenistan. Geez, sorry for butchering those guys. For 3 decades, my predecessors failed to give these Central Asian nations the attention that they deserve. Now the leaders of this strategic region, which is located at the crossroads of Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, and is blessed with abundant critical minerals, hydrocarbons, and human talent, have a president of the United States who intends to be fully engaged. In commemoration of the 10-year anniversary of the C5+1 platform, we secured billions of dollars in commercial deals that will support tens of thousands of American jobs in the aviation, critical minerals, agriculture, rail, auto, and technology sectors. Our summit was the dawn of a beautiful new relationship between the United States and those 5 countries. Yeah. Okay, I'll try and read them. Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and the Kyrgyz Republic, and Turkmenistan. Woohoo! I think I did pretty good on that. The only real baptism is by fire. Ain't that the truth? All righty. Let's see what do we got here. Schumer shutdown.
Here with a reaction, Kansas Senator Roger Marshall. Senator, it's great to see you. Great to have you on the show tonight. Let me ask you, will you accept this terrific offer by Chuck Schumer tonight?
No, Lord, that's a non-starter. What Chuck Schumer is asking us to do is to give $25 billion to criminals every year and $35 billion to insurance companies every year. That's what it's costing American taxpayers right now to partially fund Obamacare. So that's a non-starter. And that's why here we are setting, should we break the filibuster or not? I think that's the conversation that Republicans should be having right now.
Senator, Republicans, especially the more establishment Republicans, are very, very, wedded to this idea of holding on to the filibuster with a death grip. Yeah. Given what the Democrats have clearly signaled they're going to do, they're going to pack the court, they're going to make Puerto Rico a state, the list goes on and on. President Trump went through it. Do you believe, given what this country and our people are facing, that it is time for the Republican Party to ditch the filibuster and start doing things for the American people?
Well, Laura, every day that this shutdown goes on, the more I'm convinced we need to end the filibuster. And as I do my math here, the same Democrats that some of my colleagues are counting on to protect the filibuster are the same Democrats who are afraid to come across the aisle and open the government. Just 2 years ago, every senator, Democrat senator that's still in office that's here today, voted to end the filibuster. Unless you can guarantee to me that the Democrats won't do it, then we need to seriously consider it. The only other option I can think of is enshrining it as a constitutional amendment. But this absolutely should be the conversation and the debate today for the Republican caucus.
I mean, I talked to Senator Kennedy last night, and he agreed with me and the president that the Democrats will jettison the filibuster. When they get the first chance, they're going to jettison. So it's who does it first, right? But then he would not agree to end the filibuster. Now, I think that position, and I love Senator Kennedy, I can't square that position. The country is hurting. They want things done. You can't ride on the big, beautiful bill into the midterms. You're all going to get wiped out. I'm telling you. The president sees it. He knows it. Tonight, will you commit to moving with your other senators toward ending the filibuster, Senator?
Well, Laura, I'm never going to make a decision like that right now. This is bigger than buying a house. I would never buy a house without making a decision, sleeping on it the next night. But just one more really important point I think to make, in line with President Trump's thinking here. If we ended the filibuster, we could end mail-in ballots, that we would require voting ID. We may never lose the majority again if we do, though, even just that alone. So every day I'm more serious about it. I'm not going to commit on national TV to doing it, but certainly every day I'm leaning that way. And if the vote was tomorrow, I would get down on my knees and pray about this one. It's a tough decision. It does protect the minority, but I'm with you. I don't see how the Democrats don't do this next time they have power in the Senate.
Well, Senator, it's great to have you on the show, and I know the Senate is going to do the right thing here. We've got to help the American people. Only way to help them at this point. We have no other option, unfortunately. Senator, come back soon. Thank you very much.
I believe that this is why Donald Trump's life is in danger, is because if they do end the filibuster and they do fix the country the way it needs to be fixed, those who are currently meddling and trying to kill this beast so that they can take over the world, they're going to have no other choice. He's leaving them no other choice. You guys can see that, right? It's not just me. It's just like, truth is prevailing and things are being fixed. So can you imagine if they made voter ID required? I mean, who would have ever thought that we would get to a point in our day and age that presenting an ID to prove that you're an actual citizen in the country in order to vote would be a point of conflict between any of the parties. I mean, that is clearly a mechanism for cheating. Clearly. So either you're going to make it so that you require an ID in order to vote, so that those who are here and who have a stake in this country are the ones that are affecting the policies and the laws and who's in power, or you make it so people cheat to be in power and then the system just completely collapses because the only way to gain power will be to cheat. Yeah. I can see. All of these things must come to pass. Look up, your redemption draws nigh. Oh, right. Oh, Vivek. Vivek, I haven't heard his name in a while. Vivek Ramaswamy is running for governor of the great state of Ohio. I did know he was going to do that. He talked about that quite a while ago. A place I love and won big 3 times in 2016, 2020, and 2024. I know Vivek well, competed against him, and he is something special. He is young, strong, and smart. Vivek is also a very good person who truly loves our country. As your next governor, Vivek will fight tirelessly to grow the economy, cut taxes and regulation, promote Made in the USA, champion American energy dominance, keep our now very secure border secure, stop migrant crime, strengthen our military veterans, ensure law and order, and advance election integrity, and protect our ways under siege. Always under siege. Second Amendment. Vivek Ramaswamy will be a great governor of Ohio and has my complete and total endorsement. He will never let you down. And I second that. I kind of like Vivek. I wasn't so sure about him during the election when he was, running, but that was because I didn't really know him. But as I got to know him, he seems like a pretty good guy. And, he was right there with Charlie Kirk in some of those great debates, doing a fantastic job. I do kind of like Vivek. Let's see. The left is now trying to divide the right. They are pretending to be conservative and posting stuff about repealing the 19th Amendment, and the stupid men on the right are falling into the trap. That sucks. Remind me the origination of the filibuster. I think it was KKK Democrat Robert Byrd that put it in place to deprive blacks during the civil rights movement. I don't know the history of the filibuster, actually. Some are calling them out, but so many on the right are dumb enough to fall into and follow such sheep to be fooled. Indeed. And that is it for Donald Trump. Moving on to Elon Musk. Well, he's got some good ones too. So some of the stuff that he had mentioned in his shareholders meeting, he reposted today, which is going to be kind of fun to go through. And I wanted to start with this one. So every day we're working towards making sure everyone can get any good or service they want without sacrificing our resources. This is sustainable abundance. To achieve this, our products must be accessible to all. Tesla has all the pieces: AI tech, plus electrical mechanical engineering, plus scalable production lines. No one else has that. When I heard him say this at the shareholders meeting, it reminded me of John 10:10. For the thief cometh not but for to steal, to kill, and destroy. I am come that they might have life and have it more abundantly. That was one of the missions of Yeshua, is that we might have life and have it more abundantly. I think so often people think that you have to suffer because you follow Christ, that you're baptized in the Holy Spirit, that you love God and love your neighbor. Well, yes, there's definitely, pressure and, attacks from the adversary when you do live like that. The world hated him. It'll hate you if you follow in his footsteps and are like him. But at the same time, he came that you might have life and have it more abundantly. So not only did he deliver us from the law of sin and death, he came that we might have abundance. And I've been saying this. I was so glad to hear him say this, because one of the things that I've been saying about these Optimus robots and all the stuff that Elon is doing is, if this stuff survives seal number 6, God's wrath, whatever that entails, then this is a path to sustainable abundance. And Elon goes into actually great depth on a lot of different ideas for how this could change the world. And it sounded a lot like what Adam and Eve had in the garden. Honestly, that's what it sounded like to me. I know a lot of people are going to be scared because, and Elon was making fun of that. He was making jokes about this on stage too. How you view robots, is it more like Star Wars, or is it more like John Cameron or Cameron? Is it more like AI robot or iRobot, where robots try and take over the world, or is it more like Star Wars, where everybody has a C-3PO and a R2-D2? I think it's a good point, and I think that really comes down to who builds them, how you get to that place. And I think Elon has proven with his technology with full self-driving that he knows how to do it right and in a way that's safe and follows regulatory requirements. So I see this as a very positive thing, and we're going to talk more about this as we go through his post here. All right, this is just version 2 Optimus hand. Version 3 is a whole nother level beyond this. I think, is this the video? Where's the video of the hand? There it is. He said this is the hardest thing to get right, is the articulation of the hand. And he had mentioned, not at the shareholders meeting, but he's talked about the design of the hand and what went into it. And he learned so much about God's design over the body and why we have things. Like in developing Optimus, they learned a lot about God's design. Why your fingers are, some of them are different lengths, plays a vital role in dexterity. The way some of them are connected together plays a role in how they all work together. It's like he's gone through and kind of talked about like the intricacies of the things that he learned. Same thing with the toes, the importance of balance with the little toe. Anyway, let's see. And this is just version 2. Version 3 is going to be even better. They've had to build a lot of just like there's nothing in the industry that is effective enough for the dexterity needed for a functional robot. They've had to pretty much design a lot of the parts from the ground up. There was a video today about science able to help people live to 120. It reminded me that God said he would cut man's years to 120. Yeah, that's been holding true. The robots that are out right now are run by people. The robots Elon is designing are run by AI. Yeah. The robots run by people are on a program run in India. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep. All right, so this is Grok Imagine. If you haven't played with Grok Imagine yet, it's getting pretty good. I'm using it a little bit in the video that I'm working on. It's not quite where I need it to be. I can't wait until it gets better. And it primarily has to do with using a consistent character. It's good for generating, one-off scenes and filler video, but for using it for like consistent characters, I haven't quite figured out how to do that. Supposedly there's a way to where if you take an image of the last frame of the video and upload it and have it generate off of that, you can do it. I've seen people do it. I'm just not skilled enough with that yet. Here's a video of the robot dancing. He said that this was dancing on its own, that this was not a person controlling it. Let me see if there's audio.
Just dancing, but no wire. I'm those bots are just dancing, but no wires. Those are actual robots.
That is pretty cool. It is scary, but it's also pretty cool. And I'm the type of person that confronts my fears head on. Did I ever tell you about pet spiders? I used to be morbidly afraid of spiders, so I got one as a pet. No, I'm not afraid of spiders anymore. I adore the little critters. Especially jumping spiders. They're super cute. People call them web puppies because you can hold them. Sorry if you're afraid of spiders. There's a lot of deception behind 3i Atlas. They don't understand 3i Atlas, so they're trying to limit what people find out about it. Yeah, that's pretty exciting. The stuff about 3i Atlas, it's hard to know what to believe. But we talked about this a couple nights ago on the show, to where one of the possibilities for Jesus, the Son of Man, coming in the clouds could literally be in a spaceship. If he went away to prepare a place for us, for in his Father's house are many mansions, if he literally went away to go prepare a place for us to live, to have mansions, he could literally return in a spaceship to gather us together. I mean, that is a possibility. Oh, you know what they recently discovered? So speaking of teleportation, because I know you guys asked, apparently there was a breakthrough in teleportation technology, in that they were able to successfully transfer a qubit through typical internet lines. Now, not a qubit, not the qubit that is, sorry, I misspoke. It's not a qubit. It's a quantum entangled piece of data. And what it is it's a piece of data that is so unique that it is, it's hard to explain. I don't fully understand everything that happened, but it was a pretty big breakthrough recently. But it leads towards teleportation. Like, the implications of it imply that teleportation might actually be possible. So wouldn't that be interesting? Wouldn't it be interesting? I was thinking about this the other day. Wouldn't it be interesting if the movies and the shows and the science fiction that we've all been watching, what if that was inspired or directed by angels, as a means to prepare us for the day when Christ returns? Like, maybe we weren't ready to accept the technology and they've just been kind of trickle feeding it to us so that we can kind of wrap our heads around it. Like, the whole idea of teleportation could literally be technology. I don't know. But the fact that they had this breakthrough that nobody thought was ever going to happen, go look it up, go Google teleportation breakthrough. It has to do with the ability to send particle information through data lines. It's really bizarre, but it's apparently it's a legitimate breakthrough that's really fascinating. But it got me thinking about, that is one of the possibilities with the Son of Man showing up on the clouds. It could be him showing up on 3i Atlas. I mean, the thing is supposedly 7 miles long, and it keeps, supposedly, according to the reporting, it keeps doing a bunch of weird stuff. Like, I've heard that it's changed direction, it's changed colors multiple times, pieces have broken off and have shown to be traveling in a particular direction at a speed that can only be described as being propelled. I don't know if any of it's true. It's hard to know what to believe, but it kind of gets the mind working, don't you think? Okay, moving on. All right. More robots. There's no audio with this one. How it started and how it's ending. Philip teleported. Wouldn't that be interesting if, like, when it's so fascinating when you go back and you read through some of the more fantasy parts of the Old Testament and you think of them through what we've learned about, with even just with science fiction, like Elijah being taken away on a chariot. The interesting thing about that is, people assumed that Elijah, that once he was taken up in that chariot of fire, that he was gone off the earth forever. But they have proven, or it's common knowledge in Judaism, that he was probably just moved because like 12 years later, they have the timing down to where 12 years later he was sending letters confronting kings. But it makes sense though if there was technology in those days and he was just picked up by some kind of an aircraft. And there are aircraft that use fire for propulsion. Rockets use fire for propulsion. Jets use fire for propulsion. It stands to reason that they could have some kind of a vertical takeoff ship that could have come down and loaded him up and then took him away and then brought him back later. And it's interesting because if there is, when you think about like the Watchers in the Garden of Eden, if when God started over with Adam and Eve and he didn't want them introduced to technology too early on, I mean, look at what we've done with it. Without a proper development, men use it for evil. So there's probably good reason why God would have said, don't eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It could have been a warning to not get involved with high technology too early on. And it could be because the dangers of it. I mean, look at what we've done with weapons and war. It's been chaos in the world. But, maybe that's why God destroyed the Tower of Babel, is maybe they were working on the technology that would enable them to have space flight or space travel. And it was too early on. Maybe God destroyed and confused the language to slow them down until we can get to a point where we are today, to where you've got enough people who going back to baptism, who have a clean temple where God can dwell within, so that these things can be done right. We've seen a lot of examples of how things like socialism and communism, no good examples of them ever working correctly. And I think it's probably due to no Holy Spirit, because if all it takes is an evil person in charge to just ruin the whole thing. And Elon makes many comments about this today, about government and the evils of government and why it doesn't work in a socialistic and a communistic perspective. Anyway, let's get on. We'll get to that. There's a bunch of these little clips about him, what he said during the shareholders meeting, which are probably good to watch.
People often talk about like eliminating poverty, giving everyone amazing medical care. Well, there's actually only one way to do that, and that's with the Optimus robot.
Well, I don't know if there is only one way to do that. And this is kind of where we get into, like, when Christ comes back and we're under his leadership, does it involve technology, or is there a way of doing that without technology? From what we know now, I can see why Elon would say this.
With humanoid robots, you can actually give everyone amazing medical care. In terms of Optimus will be more precise. Optimus will ultimately be better than the best human surgeon, with a level of precision that isn't possible, that is beyond human. So I think that's a pretty wild concept to say, okay, if people have always talked about eliminating poverty, but actually Optimus will actually eliminate poverty. Optimus will actually give people incredible medical care.
Yeah, and there's something to that too with, and this is something that we're seeing even just with the level of technology that we have today. that a person's knowledge is limited. If you're able to not only actively reference all of human knowledge in order to diagnose a problem, not only do you get more accurate results, but as you learn more things, that knowledge is more quickly disseminated. So I can see where he's coming from with that, where it's just like, in order to really get to the place to where you have, actual health care for everyone, you might not be wrong about that. Gad Sod.
Covered partly in parasitic.
Why do you think there's this mass immigration?
So that's a great question. So it's covered partly in Parasitic Mind, my earlier book, and in my next book, which I call Suicidal Empathy, right? So empathy is a emotion that has evolved for very clear evolutionary reasons. So just like any of our other emotions, for example, envy, there are evolutionary reasons why we've evolved the emotion of envy, right? It can compel us forward. I see that Joe's doing well, keeping up with the Joneses, maybe it'll get me off my fat ass so I can work harder. So there are very clear evolutionary reasons why empathy exists. But the problem is when empathy misfires, it either becomes hyperactive or it misfires in directing the empathy to the wrong person. So for example, illegal immigrants more important than American vets, right? And I can show you many public policies where you have these insane policies, all of which are due.
Oh man, I just had the weirdest thought. It was from a video I was watching. Oh, it was Yosplain's video where he was responding to Wes Huff about the Mount of Transfiguration. Wes was making the argument that both Elijah and Moses had gone up to a mountain to talk to God, and that it was interesting that Jesus also talked to Moses and Elijah on the Mount of Transfiguration. Now, in that video, he was using it as evidence that it may have been Jesus talking to Moses and Elijah, and that there was some kind of portal or time travel or something involved. He'd made the argument that they were the only two men to talk to God on a mountain, which is not correct. And shame on Wes Huff for saying something like that, because you also have Abraham went up to a mountain to talk to God. You also had Elijah went up to a mountain to talk to God. I mean, there's been 5 or 6 guys who've gone up on mountains to talk to God. Anyway, but the whole time travel thing is really interesting. What if, and bear with me, this is totally a bizarre sci-fi thought, but I wanted to say this because it's really interesting. What if the Watchers, being the tree, what if time travel is possible, and what if the Watchers are us? Like, what if they went back in time and they were like observing the Garden of Eden, and God warned about, these are future beings from the future. Don't produce children with them because it's going to cause cascading failure. That'd make an interesting movie or TV show or something. Sorry. That was a bizarre thought that I just wanted to get out there before I forgot it.
To suicidal empathy. So to answer your question, I think that the Western mind is, we are kind, tolerant, compassionate, empathetic people. Mm-hmm. There are people out there, they're Guatemalan, they're Honduran, they're Yemeni, who don't have it as well as we do. Wouldn't it be nice if we open up our doors? So the reflex is a noble one. It's a nice one, but it exists in unicornia. The real world doesn't operate that way. If you let in people that have a huge hatred of homosexuality, are you going to have an increase in homophobia in your country or a decrease, right? So I think that's the answer. The answer is misdirected empathy across the West.
Is it really that simple? Because it seems like it's happened so rapidly that it seems like a plan to create more chaos. Because it's happened. The border policy in America is puzzling. It's baffling because it seems like there's a plan to flood the country.
So it's a sort of a conspiratorial kind of cabal.
This seems like there's something going on that's allowing it to happen, even though everyone recognizes it's a problem and it's solvable, but they don't solve it. In fact, the United States government has actively tried to stop Texas from enforcing their border.
So, but I think that's just, so I've often tweeted that the most dangerous weapon in human context is a parasitized mind, right? I mean, a bomb is dangerous, but it is the human mind that activates that bomb, right? It's a guy with a little mustache that said that Jews are the real problem in the world, and I need to get rid of the world of that parasite, right? So parasitic thinking, I mean, one of the reasons I think that book did so well is because it really explained how all of these parasitic ideas came to a head together. And they were all spawned on university campuses over the past 40 to 80 years. So one hypothesis is what you said, which is there is kind of a grand scheme that's willfully doing this. Another one is that all of the Western leaders of roughly the same age, I mean, within 20 years of each other, are all a product of a Western education, university education, that was completely infected with these dreadful parasitic ideas, so that when these leaders go out there and have the power to enact policies, they enact these policies. So my view is slightly different from yours in that I don't think that there is a supra-mega willful plan. It's just that all of those Western leaders are the product of a really shitty university system.
That's a pretty good point. All right, what do we got here? 2 robots dancing at the Tesla shareholders meeting. I think we already saw that. Pretty ambidextrous.
And those bots are just dancing. They're no wires. Those are actual robots.
That is really impressive. Wow. I remember him talking about the ankle and how long he studied the ankle.
And those bots are just dancing. They're no wires. Those are actual robots.
That is really cool. It's pretty ambidextrous. I hadn't seen that one yet. That is really cool. That's an ad. With today's launch, SpaceX hits 170 launches on a rolling 365 clock. Cool. All right, let's see. The robots are just walking around the office 24/7 with no one minding them.
No one minding them. They're just, and then they go charge themselves. And yeah, so the scale of Optimus, like I said, that's really going to be something else. I think it's going to be the biggest product of all time by far. Yeah. So, like bigger than cell phones, bigger than anything.
Yeah.
I guess the way to think about it is that every human on Earth is going to want to have their own personal R2-D2 C-3PO.
Yeah. Why not?
So who wouldn't? But actually, Optimus will be even better than that. Like R2-D2, it's kind of would beep at you, and it's kind of hard to figure out what he's talking about. You need C-3PO to translate. But Optimus is going to be, like everyone's going to want one. I think in terms of industry providing products and services, I think it's probably, 3 to 5 robots in industry for every, one that's a personal robot. I think there could be tens of billions.
It's another massively disruptive technology if you think about it, because, why do wars happen? Why do people feel like they need to reduce population? A lot of times, and I'm just speaking off the cuff here, not off specific stats or anything like that, but it has involved access to resources, right? Not enough food. And I think one thing that we've learned with the amount of people that are on the planet is that it opens the door to things that we just don't have access to when there's not this many people on the planet. So it's a benefit to have large numbers of people. And this conversation comes up from time to time about no one knows how to make a toaster, because like the individual like manufacturing plants that are needed for all the different parts only came about because of the culture and society and the amount of things that we have today, to where, on a world that's only populated with 5 billion people, you may not have access to that kind of technology because, you don't have chip factories. You don't have the production lines. You don't have the different types of metals that are, a product of the manufacturing, because there's special types of metals that are in toasters. And, with a robot that's capable of replacing humans for doing work, the natural fear is like, oh no, I'm going to be without work. But what if we just transcend that whole concept of, needing to work to eat? Because wasn't that one of the consequences of the fall of mankind? For, we have to work to eat. In the sweat of your brow will you work all the days of your life. Well, if that sin is coming to an end, does that mean that curse also is coming to an end? Really interesting to think about.
Millions of Optimus robots out there. Now, obviously, it's very important we pay close attention to safety here, because we do want the Star Wars movie, not the Jim Cameron movie.
Yeah.
I love Jim Cameron's movies, but don't
want iRobot.
You know what I mean?
We want C3. we want C3PO. We want the 3 laws. We don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're gonna launch on the fastest production ramp of any product, of any large complex manufactured product ever.
Yeah. So Fury, to your point about large amounts of people brings the problem of trying to control them. I think with the return of Christ and with the tares having been bundled up and burned, I think that problem might go away. This is why I say that it may very well be that these things are coming about as the tools that Yeshua will use for the 1,000-year reign. All of this technology and all this capability may be being positioned for his reign as king on earth. Just a thought. One way it could go. Not saying that I'm right.
And actually, right now the versions, the car's a little strict about keeping your eyes on the road.
Yeah, so in this one, it's pretty quiet. I'll just tell you what he said. So right now, with full self-driving in a car, you can't take your eyes off the road for more than like 5 seconds. If you look away for too long, it'll start flashing the screen. And if you don't look back within a few seconds of it flashing, it will start yelling at you. So what he's saying is they've gotten so good, the full self-driving has gotten so good that they believe they may be able to reduce the supervised full self-driving to where now you might be able to start texting and take your eyes off the road for a little bit longer than before, because they have enough data that proves that full self-driving is I think he said they needed a factor of 5 times safer than a human driver. So once they finish evaluating the data, then they can go to the regulators, and the regulators can approve reducing the amount of time of the supervised, if not removing it altogether, which is really exciting because it means we're really close to your car. And he mentions this in the meeting. We're very close to you being able to go to sleep in your car and waking up at your destination. And I think they're even really close to removing the supervised, because right now for the robo-taxis and the areas that they're testing robo-taxis, they have to have a person in the car monitoring the car. He says they're very close to eliminating that person in the car so that the cars are completely autonomous.
By far. What we're about to embark upon is not merely a new chapter of the future of Tesla, but a whole new book. And Optimus is a fundamental part of that. The scale of Optimus, like I said, that's really going to be something else. I think it's going to be the biggest product of all time by far. Like bigger than cell phones, bigger than anything. I guess a way to think about it is that every human on Earth is going to want to have their own personal R2-D2 C-3PO. I think there could be tens of billions of Optimus robots out there. We're going to launch on the fastest production ramp of any product, of any large complex manufactured product ever. And starting with building a 1 million unit production line in Fremont, and then a 10 million unit per year production line here on the.
So the timing of these production lines getting to the level of what he's talking about, I kid you not, it's like 2030. It's quick.
I don't know where we're going to put the 100 million unit production line. Maybe on Mars, I don't know. But I think it's going to literally get to 100 million a year, maybe even 1 billion a year.
You know, that might sound kind of crazy, but, you know, with him, for the first time ever, you know, making it so that we can travel to other planets, you know, suddenly that excuse of the planet is overpopulated becomes a non-issue. And you need robots if you're going to, you know, build the resources on other planets to, you know, to make life multiplanetary. You kind of need robots to go ahead of you and build things so that you can have a nice city when you get there. So many weird things happening. But the interesting thing is as he scales up these factories, that scale of production could happen at the opening of seal number 7 for when there's silence in heaven for about a half an hour. I'm getting the sense that technology is going to be a part of our future. I mean, I could be completely wrong. This could be, to cover both sides of this could be why the earth is going to go through God's wrath. We're told that we're kept from the wrath coming on the whole earth. This could be all being set up to be destroyed. And maybe I'm entirely wrong about Elon Musk being one of the, anointed ones standing before the Lord of the whole earth. But I mean, it could be destroyed. It absolutely could be destroyed. But I can't deny the fact that that there's weird timing, that the scale that he's talking about lines up around, seems to be around the time that there's potentially an end to sin. You know what I mean? Because that's the whole point of the opening the seals and the end time events, is bringing an end to sin. So, very interesting things happening. I tell you what, it's a lot of fun to watch. Time to pull a lot of rabbits out of that hat. Hilarious. Lost my mouse.
Have you watched any other annual shareholder meeting?
No, he's just riffing. What's this?
It's in the middle of the night within an hour. But if you go to the ER, you could wait 6 hours. Why? The federal government never tried to make plumbing affordable and accessible. You can buy an 85-inch television for $1,000, but a dialysis machine costs $30,000. Why? The federal government never tried to make televisions affordable and accessible. You can get LASIK surgery done for $1,500 because it's not covered by Medicare or Medicaid, because it's elective. But if you get a major surgery, it could cost you $100,000. Why? The federal government never tried to make LASIK affordable and accessible. Socialism is killing every industry it touches. You can get a
Yeah, and then Elon's response to that is, as soon as you understand that the government is just the DMV at scale, it makes perfect sense. Anything the government tries to do, I think he makes a comment about it here later on, that there's no feedback cycle. It's very broken, and that's why it just doesn't work. What is this? Zoran Mondani. If anybody's a little, I've got my eye on this guy for the little horn. I don't know about you guys, but this guy seems like he's going to try to uproot people if they don't get him out of New York City. He just seems sly.
This city belongs to you.
I could see, when I see this guy, I think about somebody who says great things who also blasphemes God. See, that's the thing about Trump is, yeah, he says great things. He speaks, the way he speaks can be offensive to some people, but the one thing he does not do is Trump does not blaspheme God. Zoran here, Mamdani on the other hand, I could see him blaspheming God.
Belongs to you. Thank you.
Oh, Elon's making fun of him saying Nazi salute. Because they gave him so much crap for doing that exact same movement. That's funny. Oh my God, Madami's doing multiple Nazi salutes. I'm sure the media is all over it. This one's not in English. I'm not entirely sure why this is reposted, but newly re-elected Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey gave his victory speech in Somalian. Yeah. I don't know why that one got posted. I tried to figure that one out before the show, but somebody knows why he would have posted that one. Maybe he's showing the takeover of, these offices. I'm not entirely sure. I wonder if Grok can explain it. Abolish insurance through technology. Yeah. Elon did actually talk about insurance a little bit during the Q&A section of the shareholders meeting. Somebody had asked him that with all the invention of this new technology that promises, bigger safety and stuff like that, what kind of effect is it going to have on insurance? And Tesla does have their own insurance, but it's because of the regulatory restrictions, it's on a state-by-state basis. It's not the same from one state to the next. It's very problematic. But it is something that they are working on and something they're trying to work with insurance companies on, to where, when you have a car that's 10 times safer to drive than another vehicle, it should be reflected in your insurance, right? Let's see. That's an ad. Andrew Wiles, on the morning he discovered how to fix his proof of Fermat's last theorem. I don't know what this is about. Let's see.
Morning. And I was sitting here at this desk. It was a Monday morning, September 19th. And I was convincing myself that it didn't work, just seeing exactly what the problem was. When suddenly, totally unexpectedly, I had this incredible revelation. I realized what was holding me up was exactly what would resolve the problem I'd have in my Iwasawa theory attempt 3 years earlier. It was the most important moment of my working life.
Come on. What's that moment? Looking to God? Praying? I don't know.
It was so indescribably beautiful. It was so simple and so elegant. And I just stared in disbelief for 20 minutes. Then during the day I walked around the department. I'd keep coming back to my desk and looking to see it was still there. It was still there. The first night I went back and slept on it. I checked through it again the next morning, About 11 o'clock, I satisfied, and I went down, told my wife, I've got it, I think I've got it, I found it. And it was so unexpected. I think she thought I was talking about a children's toy or something. I said, got what? And I said, I fixed my proof, I've got it.
Is he just posting that because he goes through that on a regular basis every time he solves something? He at the shareholders meeting, he was talking about he knows the AI 5 chip that they're working on for the next iteration of full self-driving so well that he could redraw it from memory. You guys know he's the lead engineer at his companies, right? So like Tesla and SpaceX, he's the lead engineer. The dude is legit genius. He's the reason a lot of this technology exists. I think that says something about him and the gifts that God has given him. I can,
I was sitting here.
The way he's describing how he feels is how I feel about the timeline. It has been a 25-year journey from the moment that I realized in 2000, 2001 that God uses eclipses to mark events, that they often happen in conjunction with important events on the earth that have a global impact. That was the beginning of my journey. And in 2019, it literally took somebody praying for me to wake me up to that we were in that window. And it was like that moment he had of, you can't believe that it's real. I remember the moment a couple of times that moment has happened. When I need to find the video. I did a video on it early on when I was talking about the green rainbow, but that was when it really just started snowballing to where one thing after another, to where I was really aware to start paying attention to we're in the end times, events are unfolding, prophecies are being fulfilled. Now is the time to watch and pay attention. Kind of felt like he's describing here. Maybe that's why Elon posted this video. The Pope? Why is Elon reposting the Pope? This will be good. Technological innovation can be a form of participation in the divine act of creation. Interesting. It carries an ethical and spiritual weight. For every design choice expresses a vision of humanity. The church therefore calls all builders of AI to cultivate moral discernment as a fundamental part of their work, to develop systems that reflect justice, solidarity, and a genuine reverence for life. Well, that's surprising from the Pope. Yeah, can't argue with that. The media cannot and must not separate itself from the destiny of truth. Transparency of sources and ownership, accountability, quality, clarity, and objectivity are the keys to truly opening citizens' rights for all peoples. Surprisingly agree with that. Interesting. Okay, that was a surprise. Is this a joke? Pope Leo. What is that? The 14th. Pope Leo the 14th. Huh. Surprise, surprise. These are the coolest mugs, the Boring Company. That would be cool. This picture was taken on Mars today. I was looking at this and zooming in on it. And the funny thing is when you look at this, it looks like Earth. This looks like, if you were to go to a desert, and you see like the wind-swept mountains, or, I fully expect to see a tent over here with a bunch of guys on their motorcycles or their cars that they're going to race in the desert, their dune buggies, their four-wheelers, their quads. But this is a picture of what it looks like on Mars. I could totally see populating that planet. Maybe that's where we are. Maybe that's the next thing on our agenda. Maybe once the wheat and the tares are separated, maybe we get to start exploring the universe. The universe is massive, massive, massive. I mean, like the scale of the universe is so big. It's unbelievable. I always wondered what we would be doing if we lived forever. If you had immortality, what would you do? Well, the universe is pretty big. There's a lot to do. It could be a lot of fun. I think we're gonna look back on these days and how stupid people were to be afraid of the things that they're afraid of. They're all going to be a non-issue in short order. I think we're getting close to the end here. Oh, this is good. This is totally worth following up on this. So Elon was responding to this Yahoo. This is pretty good.
To become a trillionaire. On my way to Austin today, and I passed by the Tesla plant. Elon Musk is about to become a trillionaire on the backs of the American taxpayer. Because of Trump's big ugly bill, this guy, through his shareholders, they're about to make him the first trillionaire in the world. After government subsidies that he's been given, government contracts that he's been given, not just here in Texas and beyond in Washington, you name it. While ordinary Texans and people across this nation are struggling to get SNAP benefits, are struggling to maintain health insurance, auto insurance, just the price of the grocery bill. A family of four, now it costs over $400 a week to feed. How do we make it in America with greedy hogs like this that just want to screw us over and over again? It is time that we push back against this Trump agenda, this agenda that is all about billionaires and millionaires, and give back to the people what's theirs. This is a government of, for, and by the people. We deserve more than a government for a few billionaires to screw the rest of us.
You have got to see this response. Elon responded to this. So this is Elon's response. You are a taker, not a maker. All you've done your whole life is take from the makers of the world. The zero-sum mindset you have is at the root of so much evil. Once you realize that civilization is not zero-sum and that it is about making far more than one consumes, then it becomes obvious that the path to prosperity for all is just let the makers make. Regarding Tesla, the reality is that I have been giving nothing. However, if I lead Tesla to become the most valuable company in the world by far, and it stays that way for 5 years, shareholders voted to award me 12% of what is built. Anyone who wants to come along for the ride can buy Tesla stock. If Tesla merely becomes a $1.999 trillion company, I get nothing. This is a great deal for the shareholders, which is why they voted so overwhelmingly to approve this, for which I am immensely grateful. And they did so by a margin far more than you won your political seat. So what a fantastic response. The Elon Musk and Donald Trump torment people. Absolutely. I mean, like, that guy has no right of saying that Elon doesn't deserve what he has. One of the things that Elon does is he sets impossible goals. He's done this before, and he's done it so many times. So he did it with Tesla, to where they got down quite literally to their last dollar and failure. And he's talked about this before. A lot of the projects that he takes on have a high degree of potential failure. And many of them have gotten so close to that failure that it was within minutes of not having the funding needed in order to continue. But he continually has proved. So the first award package that Delaware ended up telling him he couldn't have, which was for like $56 billion or something like that, was if he, increased Tesla's value from, I'm just quoting made up numbers, but it was like a 5 or 10 times valuation. It was just like from 100 million to like 5 billion or something like that. And he did it. He blew it out of the water. Well, this is the same thing. This is an impossible task to take it from $500 billion to $2 trillion. And if he does that, his award package is 12%. If he doesn't do that, he gets nothing. So the fact that this guy's saying that Elon's taking money from the hardworking men and women who can't even take care of SNAP benefits is not only is he highly uneducated, but it's that same kind of mentality of stupidity that prevents progress. Sorry. What are you guys talking about in the chat? I saw something about the two witnesses. I just realized you two witnesses, you think there is one lampstand, not two. Why do you think that? Who told you that? Super, where are you getting this nonsense from? Watchful has done all kinds of research on the witnesses. He still doesn't even know Revelation 13:18. It's so easy, dude. Triangle numbers, the Bible can be solved with triangle numbers. You certainly are presumptuous for someone who obviously hasn't even watched the videos or studied his works, aren't you? Maybe Zechariah 4. Yeah, you clearly have no idea what you're talking about, Super. I told you I'm literally one of the... Oh, yeah. You're one of the witnesses, so I'm missing it because it's you. Do you breathe fire? Why aren't you on YouTube? Do you have YouTube videos proving that you are who you say you are? You're blameless. Read the Bible. You've been forgiven. Do you have a video on Revelation 17? I'm having a hard... Oh, so you guys want me to be honest with you guys about something? So all of my work has been up to Revelation 13. I have yet to barely move into 14 forward. There's been so much involved in Revelation that the majority of my work is in Revelation 1 through 14. We're just now starting to get into 14 through the rest of it. So I don't. Maybe we should start doing that. Maybe now's the time to start going through and putting those pieces together. It's just been that there's been so many things being fulfilled. It's just so jam-packed with information that the primary focus since 2019 has been Revelation 1 through 14. And I'm just barely starting to really get into 14. I mean, obviously I've read it and studied it. It's just as far as like putting it together in the timeline and what things mean and stuff like that. Yeah, we've just been so highly focused on 1 through 13 really. And 13 really has really been opening up recently, I'd say in the last couple of months. You know, as we've looked at the different beasts. So the idea of the beast from the sea, the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, it seems to imply that it's a democratic government, something like the G7. And that really came about when Trump kept saying that America was dead and now it's alive, because that actually fits the fulfillment of the head wound that was suddenly healed. So there's a good chance, and these are the kind of things that I need to get into. I need to do a new timeline video to add this information, because this is new stuff that's not really in our timeline video. But yeah, I mean, like, we're just now starting to get into, like, it seems like we're starting to get an understanding of Revelation 13, and now it's time to start moving into 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah. Exciting times ahead. All right, let's continue. I actually wanted to keep this a short show because it's the Sabbath. We're way over sunset, so let's try and finish this up. Here we go. So yeah, that was an amazing response from Elon Musk. You are a taker, not a maker. All you've done your whole life is take from the makers of the world. Fire from the mouth. Those who would harm them must be killed with the fire from their mouth. That was definitely fire from his mouth, that's for sure. All right, this is really so useful. Ask a question, then ask Grok to rank the answers from X. Based on 200 replies in the thread, here's a tally of the top hotel recommendations. Oh, that's a fun feature. Grok can search X and analyze or summarize anything. Cool. Oh, this is good. The reason government programs are so inefficient is that, unlike a commercial company, the feedback loop for improvement is broken. Because they have a state-mandated monopoly and can't go out of business if customers aren't happy. No matter how bad the service is as your DMV, sorry to pick on DMVs, you still have to use your DMV because it's a monopoly. And that's a really good point. One of the reasons why government sucks And why it moves so slow is the lack of, number one, fear of failure, which is a helpful motivator in businesses, because if you don't provide value for your customers, you won't have funding to continue your business. The government does not suffer that consequence, to where, they are mandated and fully funded and can't fail. So they don't, there's no need for a feedback loop on what's providing value and what's not providing value. That's a really deep comment from Elon Musk, and I think it gets straight to the heart of why government is flawed and needs to be fixed. Oh, right. Someone from XAI reached out and asked, okay, this is just about Grok. We don't need to know that. Grok updates. Introducing, that's an ad. The reason government programs are so inefficient. So this is a masterclass to Elon Musk. It is. That is a masterclass comment from Elon Musk. There we go. We are done. Let me see if we got any comments to catch up on, and then we're probably going to call it a night so that y'all can go enjoy your Sabbath, enjoy spending time with our Heavenly Father and your families, and taking a break. Let's see. Oh. Yeah. Hey, Super, if you've got something, I mean, like, I'll be honest, I think you're full of it. I think you're probably deceived, but I'm willing to hear you out. I mean, if you've got evidence, you've got something that you want us to consider, send it to me, twowitnesseslive@gmail. If you truly are one of the two witnesses, which, judging from the way that you're responding to the people in our comments, I don't think you are. I would, I'm willing to consider information that you've got. Do you have a YouTube channel? Are you publicly visible somewhere? It sounds to me like you might be deceived, dude. If you're not who you say you are, what you're saying is very problematic, and we're not gonna suffer that for very long. I'll hear you out. I really will. So if you've got something, okay. Andrew Gutierrez, Andrew Turner are the two witnesses who stand before the Lord in Revelations. The Holy Trinity is a sacred union between woman and man. Andrew Gutierrez was okay. Yeah. If you've got something solid, send it to me. I get the sense you might just be spamming our comments with nonsense. And yeah, we'll leave it at that. I'll give you an opportunity, dude. All right, everybody. This is actually a pretty good night. I mean, like, some really interesting things have been happening. Trump is putting his foot down on the filibuster. Elon Musk is doing some amazing things for the future. And you can see that people are irritated by these guys. It's funny when you stand up and you speak the truth, how it torments the enemy, how it torments people, people who don't have a sound mind. My wife and I, it's funny, my wife and I were talking about this, like, why is it that they torment people so much? And one of the things that we were talking about is, I really think, we've heard Trump's call people like low IQ or just not smart people. What I've seen happen quite a lot is you can see this getting worse even, is with, and maybe this is why God is bringing these things to bear now, is with the new tools for artificial intelligence. What you see is, you see low information people and low intelligence people who are leaning heavier and heavier on artificial intelligence in order to support their arguments. And you can tell it's not even them. You can tell in a lot of cases that their arguments are artificial and generated. And people are, it's almost, there's got to be some relation with giving breath to the image of the beast and what's happening right now and what we're seeing, because you have people who are idiots that don't even understand the things that they're saying, to where if you were to take away their phone and get into an actual argument or a genuine debate with them, they could not defend their position. And they're relying solely on somebody else's. And a lot of time people are just regurgitating something that someone else said. And we see this a lot with people. They'll regurgitate. A good example is Tim Pool got into a debate in regards to the 34 convictions of Donald Trump. And the gentleman that he was arguing with did not know any details. He was defending the fact that he was convicted, and he could not speak to the offenses, why he was charged, who was involved. And that's part of the problem. Is you get people who are basically, they're dumb and they're looking at surface stuff and they don't care about the details. They just care about being right. And then they're just going to gaslight you when you want to talk about the details. The best I can tell is this has got to be part of the separating the wheat from the tares, and the right way to be during this time is well, there's definitely an aspect of overcoming. Jesus says that many times, and I can kind of see why. He who overcomes will be saved. It's tough. I mean, it's hard. It's hard, getting into, it's one of the reasons why I've taken a step back from debating. It's just like when you're debating with somebody who will not acknowledge defeat. If somebody who's willing to change their mind is arguing with somebody who's not willing to change their mind, that's an endless battle. It's not worth it, but it doesn't mean you don't love them. You don't love your brother. So there's so much triggering taking place in these end times that it's really challenging to find reason to love one another. So that's my encouragement. And that's, I think the sentiment is, let's look at the Church of Smyrna and the Church of Philadelphia and follow their example. Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. And with that, God bless you guys. Good night. Shalom, shalom. Make sure you hit that